So before we go ahead and plug the lead in, all we're going to want to make sure is that our master is down. That's if your SPD SX Pro is plugged into an amp like mine is. Otherwise, you're going to get a big pop sound when you plug in this lead in the back, which we're going to plug in right now into the line input. So let's just quickly go ahead and do that there. Now you want to make sure that the master level is going to be up. I would put it on max for this. And now that we've plugged it in, we're going to go to menu. We're going to go up at the top across to wave, and we're going to go down to sampling right here. Click on sampling using enter, and then we're going to make sure that our record source is set to input, not pad, because we're using the line input on the back. We're going to leave the auto record trigger level as it is for now. All that means is that once the device hears a certain volume, it's going to start recording for us. So that's good. We want to get a nice clean start to our recording that way, rather than it just kind of starting when we hit record. This means we can just literally press play on the device, on the phone, and then it will start recording. We're going to leave our record channel mode on mono, and I'm going to start with my record level at +4, which is just where it is already set. There are some other settings that we can use if we do need a little bit more gain, but we'll go into that if we need it. So let's plug the phone in and let's get some sound going. So as you can see, I've plugged my phone in, that's all ready to go, and I'm going to apologise in advance today for the sounds that I'm actually using. Because I needed something royalty free, I've used a free sound effects app that I found on the App Store on my phone. So, you know, we're going to have some fun with that, I'm sure. Don't hate me. The next thing I'm going to do is make sure that I've turned up my master input here. This isn't actually going to affect the level of the recording, but it's just going to enable me to hear through the amplifier that I've got down there what's actually being recorded. The other way you could do this if you don't have an amp is just turn up the phones, plug some headphones into this thing, and you'll be able to hear it as well, but it just makes it a little bit easier for you to hear what I'm doing. So we've made sure our record source is on input. I'm going to go down and lower the auto trigger level. That's just going to give it a start point. Once it here's that threshold, once it crosses that, it's going to start recording. Hopefully that's instant, so we don't cut off the start of the recording. So I'm actually going to lower it down even more in this case, just down to 2 there. We're going to make sure that we're on mono, that's fine. And then we've got our record level here. I'm going to leave it where it is on +10. If we do need to boost it, we've got some extra gain here, but I've already turned that up, so this should be about spot on. So before I actually arm it and put it on standby, I'm just going to play you a sound effect. Please don't hate me. I'm going to play you this one. There you go. Copyright is not getting me on that one. So I'm just going to hit standby, and I'm just going to play you one of the sounds. Should we go for a different one? Should we have failed joke sound? Brilliant. Ready? There we go. We've done the recording portion. Now let's add it to the bank of sounds on the Pro. So the first difference you'll notice now is that it says recorded data exists. We're going to go now into wave edit, and that's just going to give us our actual waveform here. And what we can do is just preview it. Brilliant, there we go. Now let's say we did need to trim it. Let's say we have a little bit extra space here. Then what we can do is use the value dial, and we can actually just start moving that. You'll see that I can cut off whatever I want. Preview again. I'm sorry that you have to listen to that every time I do it. I won't do it again. Okay, but if you did want to make some considerable changes, you can actually hold shift and then move the knob, and that's going to seek a lot faster through it, basically. But there we go. We've got our wave start point. We're just going to go ahead and rename now. I'm going to just delete all of this, and I'm just going to name it something like test, just very, very quickly. There we go. Test. That's good. Exit. And then we're going to save. Now this is important. When we hit save, we're going to assign it to a pad. It just makes it a lot easier to find, basically. So I'm going to go pad 9A. Okay, execute. So currently we've got our sound on this patch right here. Now what if we want to make some changes? First of all, the record level was actually a little bit low, and we're going to normalize it so that it matches the volume of all of the other sounds on this patch and on the SPD SX Pro itself. So we're going to go to menu, but we're going to encounter a couple of little issues that we're going to need to solve. So the first of which, if we go to pad edit, is that if I hit enter and I try and preview the sound, it won't let me. Maybe you'll be glad of that. But it also won't let me edit, and that's because it's actually not really formatted very well in terms of our menus here. So I'm going to start seeking through, and I'm going to quickly realize that there are thousands of sounds on here and I don't know where mine is. Okay, so there is a section just for the sounds that you record, but we're going to need to make a couple of different adjustments first. First of all, we turn off our filter. Now we need to do this first. So we're going to hit enter on that and enter on that. That's going to turn off my filtering. And only now can I untick preload. And now we've got no filters on, and we've got no preload. That means we've only got the sounds that we've recorded. Now, some of these I did for other videos that you may have seen, but right at the bottom here, we've got test. So now, preview, there we go. I'm going to turn that down a minute so you don't need to listen to it. No, that didn't work. Okay, so we're going to go to wave edit, and now we can normalize it. Okay, so normalize, we're going to hit that. Mode overwrite, that's fine. Going to give that a second to do. Hit enter, perfect. Okay, that's processing, lovely. So we just wait for that to do. Now that should sort out our audio. Okay, so that's perfect. Now we can also now tag it, and we can tag it to whatever we want. So what sort of sound is it? Well, it's sort of an effect. So let's see if we've got like an effects part. There we go, effects. I'm going to put it into effects. We can also tag it something else if we want to. So we could tag it into our like user ones as well. So user tag. So if I want it in like a certain section, so that now if I hit filter, I can filter through my effects ones or my user tag, and I can see any of the other samples that I've put in there, just like this snare one. If I just preview that, which was actually a recording, I believe, of that snare drum over there. Of course, this process would be exactly the same whether you're using a phone, Android or Apple, or using an iPad or a Mac or anything like that. Just literally plug the lead in, set the level, hit record, and then find it afterwards and tag it how you like. But I did mention earlier in the intro that we could use an electronic drum kit as well to actually record some sounds. So how would we do that? So a really easy way of doing it, there's a couple of ways you could go about this, but the easy way is to use the L mono, the left, and take that out of your amplifier, which I've got down here. And all we would do is just remove it. This one's my TD30 kit, and this blue one is the SPD SX Pro. I'd just take this lead out of here, and I would plug it into the line input of the Pro in exactly the same way that I did earlier. So I would plug it in there, and then I would again just set my level, and then I would just literally play in the same way. So I'd go back here, go to menu, go to wave again, sampling, and then I would just set my trigger level and it would just start recording. Of course, you would be over here playing, so it wouldn't stop straight away, but all you would do is then just trim off the end, just like we did earlier. That's one way you could do it. Another way of doing it would be to do a similar setup like I've got here, which is 8-channel direct out. This goes from here, round the back, hidden leads, which I like, into my audio interface down here. I've got 2 inputs on the front, 6 on the back, and then there's a long USB-C lead that again goes all the way back round, and that dangles over here when I'm not using it. But normally that is plugged into the iPad, which enables me then to record multi-channel. This was from a video that came out last week on the channel. You can see I've got my kick, snare, hi-hat, ride, tom L, tom R, crash left and right as well. And all I would do in this case is mix it and EQ it however I want, so I could have all my levels and settings, any effects that I want, any EQ. And then all I would do is just use the same lead that we used earlier for my phone, and we would just plug it into there and then just hit play on the iPad, and that would give us everything we need to record, and we could obviously manipulate any settings we want to before we put it onto the SPD SX Pro. And that's about it for today. Make sure that you watch this video if you'd like to find out how to record loops on the SPD SX Pro. I'll see you again on the channel very soon. Bye bye for now.